Hey y'all, it's Wendy from Village Card and Crafts. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to do a really fun and simple mixed media card today because I need a bunch of thank you cards. As some of you may have seen on my recent community posts, I just retired last Friday from my job of nearly 40 years. And well, they threw me a spectacular party, and I want to make sure that I give thanks to all those people that worked so hard to bring that together. So let's get crafting. Okay, we're beginning with a stencil, some Distress Oxide sprays, watercolor cardstock, and white gesso. Mine happens to be by FOLKART, but any gesso should work, along with any stencil. I'm giving this a good shake, and we're going to get this stencil out. This is a 6x6 stencil by the Crafters Workshop. I love the geometric shapes here, and it's called Illusions. I'm not sure how old this is, but I'll check and see if I can find this anywhere and put it in the links for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this on my mixed media mat for easy cleanup. Tacking the stencil down with some mint tape will help to keep the stencil steady so that I get good crisp lines when I use the gesso. Because I don't have a water source that's right here to clean up my silicone mat, you will notice that I do use a piece of acetate packaging to put my gesso on. It's just for ease of cleanup and no other reason. You can certainly use the silicone mat for everything. I'm using a foam brush to go ahead and give my gesso a very thin coating throughout the entire stencil. And as you can see, I am keeping a firm hand on the bottom of the stencil just to ensure that it doesn't move while I'm painting that on. Once you're done covering your entire stencil, go ahead and remove it and let it dry for just a couple of seconds. You could use a heat gun if you want to speed up that process. If you find this video helpful or enjoyable in any way, please give me some pixie dust by giving me a thumbs up, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell. Now that the gesso is completely dry, we're going to go ahead and use our Distress Oxide sprays to go ahead and color up our background. I'm using Salvaged Patina, Saltwater Taffy, and Mustard Seed as my color choices today. And I am filming this inside of my splat box, which is nothing more than a cut down box with some newsprint in it. Now, Distress Oxide sprays are a fusion. They are water reactive dye and pigment inks mixed together. So you want to give your bottle a good shake before you spray it. And here I was having a little bit of problem with the sprayer kind of gunking it up in larger chunks than I was looking for. I was looking for a much more even coating. So I just wiped that off with a little damp paper towel and then go to town. You can mix it up. As you see me, I'm just going to keep going back and forth with the color until I get a good coverage that I'm looking for. Now, if you so desire, you can go ahead and really get these wet. You could actually add water with a mister on top of the spray if you really want to get the inks moving. I just kept spraying until I got a color combination that I was happy with. But you do you. Anything goes here. So I was getting a little impatient and I really wanted to see that geometric pattern. Remember that the gesso is meant to resist your ink color. By using a paper towel to kind of blot up some of that extra ink, you're going to start to see that geometric pattern shine through. The ink will have soaked into the watercolor paper that is not covered by gesso. It's really starting to look pretty, but I want to add more color, so here I am, more spray. Now, once you get your ink coverage the way that you want it, you can blot up any extra and then go ahead and set it aside to dry. Through the magic of film editing, my panel is completely dry. And as you see, it stopped curling up and kind of settled down. I'm going to go ahead and cut my panel down because I do want a little bit of a border on my card. I cut about 1/4 of an inch off of each side, and you can see that I've got my card base there, which is 110-pound accent opaque cardstock that I got from Amazon. Once again, if I can find the link, I will definitely leave that for you. And I'm going to pair this up with a border of Distress Oxide in Rustic Wilderness. I think that dark green will really bring out those salvage patina tones that are just stunning. Now, I did continue spraying, and you can see that the gesso on this one really kind of picked up the purple, and the reason for that is I didn't wipe it off as quickly. This was done with Wilted Violet Distress Oxide Spray, Faded Jeans Distress Oxide Spray, and for a little glimmer, I used DYLUSIONS Shimmer Spray. And let me see if this one's called Bubblegum Pink. I'm not much for measuring, but as you can see, I didn't cut enough off of my card panel, so I'm just going to trim that up a little bit more. Now, for the pink one, I discovered that the panel was much smaller, and I decided to ultimately cut that down to a 4x4 inch square card. So I'm going to cut this panel down to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Since I didn't have any dark green cardstock, I'm going to go ahead and leave this card as singular layered as I can. So I'm just going to use the Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to go ahead and swipe around the edges to go ahead and get that dark green color that I'm looking for. This card is going to come together really quick now. I'm using some Elmer's tape runner to glue my card panel onto my card base, and it's stunning. And I'm going to finish this up with some ephemera. I've said this before, you don't have to spend a fortune for card making if you don't want to or you don't have the means to. I have some beautiful butterfly ephemera that I got at the dollar store, and there's a little card here that says friends are flowers in the garden of life. And I thought this was an absolute perfect finish. And I'm just going to line up those butterflies, figure out where I want them placed, and glue those babies down. I'm going to be bringing in my Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. And the reason for this is I just want a little bit of wiggle room that I wouldn't necessarily get from a tape runner, just in case I put it down in not quite the right spot. So what exactly is gesso? Well, it's a surface primer, and most artists use gesso on canvas to prime their surface so that the surface is no longer porous. In my case, I'm allowing the gesso to be part of the stencil, so that part can't soak up the ink on the cardstock. The ink gets absorbed by the rest of the cardstock. So in that case, I'm no longer really using it as a primer, I'm using it for a mixed media effect. So let's finish up this first card. I'm going to go ahead and use my Dollar Tree ephemera, these beautiful butterflies. Look, you don't have to spend a fortune if you don't want to, or you simply can't, but you want to produce something beautiful. Go to your dollar stores, go to your thrift stores, and look for packages of ephemera. Look in the clearance section. You would be amazed what you can use to decorate your cards. I had so much fun making these cards with you today, and I hope you did as well. Now, let's go back to the magic of this card. Mixed media can be so much fun, but sometimes it's a little confusing. This one doesn't have to be. The magic is in the gesso. This one is FOLKART brand. It's an inexpensive brand. I got it from Michael's, And I am absolutely sure I had a coupon because, well, I hate spending money. Anyway, if you don't have ink sprays, what can you do? Easy peasy, use what you have. If you use Distress Oxides, you can use that. VersaFine Clairs, use that. Catherine Pooler inks, use what you've got. You can ink swipe. You can ink blend with a brush. You can ink blend with a dome. You can add water with a mister. The sky's the limit here. Get in there and have a blast. Let me know if there's some type of mixed media you'd like to learn about in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do for you. Now here's my finished card, and I am absolutely in love with it. It's gorgeous. And finally, the thank you card that I did in purples. It's a 4x4 inch card with leftover sentiment that turned out perfect as well. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, I'll see you real soon.